This isn't natural. You're not meant to work like this. Once upon a time, everything seemed so simple. And now it's like it's the opposite. How did we get here? These past months have been rough, to say the least. It's been one of the worst wildfire seasons I've ever seen. Months where it hasn't been safe to go outside. And I haven't really been able to escape because the van's transmission has some issues right now. And so, in other words, what I'm saying is I've been trapped inside, left to my own devices, work, without boundaries, without balance, claustrophobia. You know that feeling when you're always working, but you're not getting where you want to go? Why am I so stressed right now? How come I can't work my way through this? Einstein is quoted to have said, "Problems can never be solved by the way of thinking that first created them." This last weekend was my 29th birthday. Usually, I use my birthday as an excuse to make my friends do something fun outside with me, to get out in nature. But this year, it seemed I was the one who really needed it. We backpacked for a few days in northern Washington. After being stuck inside and feeling buried for so long, it was a welcome change. Life is so much simpler when you're out here. Your problems are much simpler. Water, food, shelter, adventure, lots of walking, fresh air. At the beginning of this year, I moved into a house after calling my camper van my primary residence for almost 4 years. The next couple months after moving in, I spent largely on the road, adventuring to different places, meeting with people. It wasn't too different from the life I had previously known. But after those few months on the road, I decided it was time to go home and spend as much time there as I could, settling in and acclimating to the new space. The house is great. I can't fault it for what's happened to me. But I've come to realize that in moving into it, I left something behind that I didn't mean to. The medicine that I have thrived on for the last few years. My connection to the outdoors. We live in a mechanistic society. But we're not machines. We have limits. We require breaks. We need space. And the world that we live in oftentimes doesn't really afford us that. It seems like the default setting in society is work until you can't work anymore. Don't get me wrong. I'm a big believer in hard work. But sometimes when you're sitting there and you're squeezing and nothing's giving, it feels like you're trapped and you're stuck inside your own head and you're trying to think yourself out of this problem, that should be a moment to pause. Problems can never be solved by the way of thinking that first created them. And so much of the anxieties, neuroses, things that we deal with on a regular basis are caused by the way that we function in society. Society is not our default way of being. It's not how we were meant to live. We often forget that we are nature. Nature is not something separate from us. So when we say that we have lost our connection to nature, we've lost our connection to ourselves. It's so easy these days to get caught up in the rat race and playing the games of life. there will always be another obstacle to overcome, another goal to achieve. And if you're not careful, these goals and tasks will consume your life. I didn't have any specific agenda when I set out to make this video. Honestly, with where my head was at the time, it seemed like the only thing I could make. Now that I'm on the other side, I see just how much I needed to be grounded, how much I needed that trip. Nature is medicine, and hopefully this video will serve as a reminder to you and to me that it's important. Getting outside, smelling the roses, feeling the breeze, getting away from Wi-Fi, service, notifications, emails, all of the crazy things that govern our modern lives. So if you feel like no matter how hard you try, it's just not working out, maybe work isn't what you need right now. Maybe it's some sunshine, some running water, the sound of leaves brushing against each other, or the wind through the trees. Stillness, not busyness. Savor the present moment now before you're starved of it. Because the present is not a time to let the mind wander where it wants to go. Rather, it's a time to watch and wait.